It was late 1941. The war on the Eastern Front was desperate. Far from the front, a famed aviatrix, Major Marina Raskova, gathered support for an audacious plan. Thousands of young women, pilots, navigators, mechanics, had written her begging to join the fight. Raskova showed their letters to Stalin himself. Against all odds, Stalin agreed. On October 8, 1941, he signed an order to create 3 all-female air regiments. In one fell swoop, the Soviet Union became the first nation to officially send women into combat roles in the air. One of these units would be the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, destined to earn the ominous nickname Night Witches. Raskova's recruits poured in from across the USSR university students, farmers, former flight instructors, mostly in their late teens and early 20s. By winter 1941, about 400 were accepted into each of the 3 regiments. They moved to Engels on the Volga River, a few hundred miles northeast of Stalingrad. In bitter cold and under wartime urgency, the women began an intensive program of training, cramming in 1 year what usually took multiple years. At Engels, the new air women were treated just like the men, with one striking exception. They were given hand-me-down uniforms. The jackets and boots were baggy and fell apart. Some girls tore up sheets to stuff their boots and even cut their hair short to fit in. Officially, they were equals. Off record, they endured sneers. A young recruit would later recall, "The men didn't like the little girls going to the front line. It was a man's thing." Still, they toiled. Flight school was brutal. 14 to 16-hour days, endless ground classes, and flying until the sun bleached the sky. After months of training, the best pilots went to the Yak Fighter Regiment and the P-2 dive bombers. The 588th, ironically called the least qualified by some officers, was assigned the oldest, slowest planes. Their craft was the Polikarpov Po-2, a flimsy 2-seat biplane built from wood and canvas. To the new pilots, it felt like a coffin with wings. The lumbering Po-2 could carry only 2 bombs, one under each wing, and barely 90 miles per hour at full throttle. The thin wood fuselage offered almost no protection. A single tracer bullet could set it ablaze. They had no guns, no radios, no radar. Until 1944, not even parachutes were issued. In utter silence, the pilot and navigator would scan the night sky, maps and compasses in hand, frozen by the wind. Their only weapons were courage and cunning. By June 1942, the 588 had been rushed to the front. Their baptism of fire came on the night of June 12, 1942. Under the cloak of darkness, young crews flew to hit Nazi supply lines, bridges, and roads over the Meuse, Severny Donetsk, and Don Rivers. For many, it was their first mission ever. The journey was terrifying. Engines rattled just above stall speed. German searchlights and anti-aircraft artillery chopped at the stars below. The women worked in packs of 3 aircraft. 2 planes flew toward the glowing searchlights to draw fire. The third held back until the flak guns were focused elsewhere. Then, as one, that rear pilot would tap her navigator's shoulder, cut the engine, and glide the rest of the way toward the target. All that could be heard was the faint whoosh of wind against the struts. In that silence, bombs were dropped on unsuspecting bunkers and convoys. Then the engine roared back to life, and the little plane dove away. The Germans listened for footsteps in the sky. When they heard that sound, the eerie rush of air as if a broomstick were flying, they panicked. It earned the women their nickname. As one historian notes, the Germans dubbed them Nachthexen, night witches, because the whooshing noise their plywood and canvas airplanes made reminded the Nazis of a witch's broomstick. Night after night, they flew. 2 bomb sorties back to back, sometimes 8 to 18 runs in a single shift. Each time they touched ground, their comrades rearmed the planes and sent them up again. Some nights ended in heroism, others in heartbreak. As one veteran put it, every sortie was a dance with death. But many survived, like Nadezhda Popova, a 19-year-old pilot who would become the stuff of legend. One morning she climbed out of her stricken Po-2 to reveal 42 bullet holes through her cockpit and helmet, and she was unscathed. In that darkness, fear was constant. Josef Kochiak, a Luftwaffe ace, knew the night witches by name. On a single night in July 1943, he shot down 4 of their planes in one raid. So much for their plywood coffins. For that one terrified night, the 588th was grounded. But the next day, when the skies finally cleared, they returned to duty. The threat only steel-clad their courage. Through it all, the night witches forged a legacy. By February 1943, they had proven so effective that Stalin himself designated the 588th as a Guards unit, an elite honor in the Red Air Force. They became the 46th Taman Guards Night Bomber Aviation Regiment, named for their actions on the Taman Peninsula late that year. The title was fitting. These women had fought in the Caucasus, under fire at Novorossiysk, and later into Crimea and Belarusia. Over the next 3 years, the 588th flew relentlessly. In total, they flew 23,600 combat sorties across 1,100 nights, carrying out harassment raids on everything from fuel depots to troop bivouacs. They dropped over 3,000 tons of bombs and 26,000 incendiary canisters, all without the benefit of radar or even radios. Each pilot and navigator learned every inch of the dark terrain below by heart, for their planes offered no heat, no guns, and no second chance. 32 members of the regiment gave their lives during the war, and many more were wounded. But 23 women of the 588 earned the title Hero of the Soviet Union for their valor. The final missions came as the Nazi regime crumbled. One unit's log record some of the last night witch sorties buzzing over Reich territory. When Victory Day arrived in May 1945, the war was over. The Taman Guards Regiment was disbanded that autumn, and its surviving women returned home as heroes. Today, the night witches live on in memory and myth. Though the last of them have now passed away, their deeds are recorded in history books and oral recollections. Their bravery inspired songs, memoirs, and films, but nothing truly captures the hush of a winter night when they flew. In the silence after a raid, all that remained were burning wreckage and the whisper of wind over frozen fields. The secrets of those long nights belong only to the women who flew them. We may never know what prayers or fears they carried in their hearts as they drifted home under the stars. But history remembers the 588th always as the regiment whose spirit haunted the skies of war, and whose courage showed that even the darkest night can be pierced by hope.